Good day, everybody. I wanted to show y'all a quick tip on anytime you're watering livestock out of a big pond or a tank or anything. Sometimes as a emergency situation, or sometimes even permanent, you need to pull a siphon off of a pond or even a large tank, whatever, but you need to pull a siphon off of it. Now this could work for draining a pond, this could work for doing all kinds of things, but in this scenario I'm actually going to water some livestock temporarily through a little small area. But there's all sorts of reasons to do this on a homestead or even on a farm, and this is a really good thing to know how to do. Everybody knows how to draw the siphon. You know, there's all sorts of different ways. Sometimes you can just put your mouth on there and cause enough suction, but when you've got a 100-foot hose or longer and it's really big around like that, I promise you you're just about it's not very easy to do. Okay, so what you need to do is go ahead and purge that hose. You want to go ahead and get that hose completely filled up first. All right, so what you do is, this is the easy way to do it. Okay, you're going to fill up, you're going to put you a valve on one end of it. Okay, and you're going to come over here. You're going to turn this on. Now you could do this with two valves, all right, but where I'm going with this, and then the two valves would make it where you could turn off both ends, but where I'm going with this, I'm going to have to actually thread this on to a drinker that I already have made. Okay, so I'll have this ready to go, and I'll actually have to thread it on, like I said, so I don't want to have to take my valve off of there. So for me, it's simpler to actually put a kink in this temporarily, maybe not the best for the hose, but then I'll carry it over here and screw it into the end of my valve. That's after I close it. So let me do this real quick and show you how this is done. So you're going to want to turn on your pressure, get it going, let it work itself all the way through the lines, get it running, going out. You see that? Now give it a second, especially if you got it rolled up like that. Sometimes it'll be full of, you know, some pressure or whatever. Okay, now I want to show you something real quick too. This hose appears to not have a seal in there, so if that happens, you want to fairly quickly get it all taken care of before it becomes a problem. Just because the more pressure is on there, the better the purge. All right, get that turned off. We'll try to do this with one hand. This may prove to be a pain in the butt. Okay, we're gonna see. And turn that pressure off. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to pause it for just a second. All right, guys, so you see what we did here. We got it back in. I had it kinked here, and then got it threaded on right there. Kinking it, like I said, it isn't absolutely necessary. Before you get it threaded into here, it's just a lot easier when you have pressure. You know, not being pressured up, it still will work, but it works significantly better pressured up. All right, so as you can see, we've got the hose laid in there. Got it inside the pond there. And then you actually want to go down there before you ever hook it up. Don't ever turn your valve on or anything, just have it down there. Okay, and then you actually want to walk back up here and make sure you don't have any kinks, and make sure you haven't pulled it out of that pond. Don't ask me how I know, but all of those things do happen. Okay, you want to know, you want to make sure that you got all of that taken care of. Okay, then you're going to walk down in here, back over to this, try to get all this hooked up. Y'all can just try this out for yourselves. It is a little finicky if you don't do it just right. And the only reason it's finicky for me, I'm gonna just say this, because it's not very much of a downhill drop. All right, if this was a big downhill drop, it would not be a problem. So I'm gonna just have these pigs in here for a couple days, but while they're in here, I want to be able to use these drinkers. Okay, we're actually gonna move these pigs. We got somewhere we're gonna move them to. I'm gonna pause the camera, but I'm gonna hook it up right here. Okay. And actually, I always forget, guys, I'm sorry. I like to go ahead and get my siphon pulled before I ever hook it back up there. Okay, so the reason for filling it up is so that it will pull your initial suction. Okay, it does all the suction for you. So you want to turn it on, and so a lot of times you'll see the color change of the water or the change in pressure. Okay, so just let it run for a minute. Make sure that you've actually pulled all of your water out of the hose itself. Okay, I'm gonna leave that running. I'm gonna actually turn back around, try to walk back up here and let y'all see that it's not hooked to anything. If I can get back up in here. And I'll just take the time and actually walk up here just so that I can prove to all the... There's always a handful of people that make comments like, oh, well, how do we know you didn't have it hooked up to anything? Or we know good and well you know, I don't know. There's just a handful of people that just don't like to... They just don't believe that anything like this is possible. You know, any of you guys that grew up in the country and ever ran out of gas, you guys know how a siphon works, and you know good and well that it works. All this video is about is to show you an easy, convenient way to purge this line so that you don't kill yourself. Not really, but figuratively, you know, so that you don't kill yourself trying to get all of that sucked out of there, trying to get that water down in there. I am just not able to do that. Well, I mean, I'm sure I could, but might potentially make you pass out before you get done. All right, so you can see right there the water's still flowing good. Once it's been flowing that long, you know you're good to go. So you can see the water there. It's still flowing out. You know you're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the camera for a minute and I'm gonna get it hooked back up. You could leave your valve hooked in. I usually don't, just because that's one more problem to have. So I'll usually kink it and then hook it back up. All right, so you can see here we took our valve off, we hooked it back up right in here. This goes down. We've got our several valves here. We do have running water now. You always want to check that, make sure it all runs. So we've got that running water. Like I said, these pigs are just going to be in here a couple days till we get them moved out. We've got another surprise for y'all for the pigs. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to that. We've got something brand new we're going to do. So y'all check that out. I'm going to go ahead and grab this valve and I will walk back up here, show you where it's running, and then I'll show you what else I do just as a precautionary measure once I get going on that. We're almost done. Try to keep the video as short as I can, but just want to make sure that I show y'all everything so you can really get a chance to learn exactly all these little things you can do. This works really good, just pre-filling that hose. It will save you so much trouble. It's so easy to do, and then every now and then you can lose your siphon even just because you can get some dirt in there. If you were going to do this long term, you want to make sure you hook a nice filter to the other end of that. But because I'm not doing this long term, it's just going to be for a couple days. We're just going to go ahead and do this, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. Don't pull this out of your pond, okay? But wait just a minute, guys. I got a call coming in. All right, got it back going again. Don't pull it out of your pond, but you can see here, I like to loop it up and raise it up here and tie it off. And that just keeps it from being pulled out of your pond if another animal were to grab it, trip over it and pull it out. I'm not going to do that right now because it's not a big deal. But what I wanted to say about it is before you go looping it up and hanging it up on anything, get your siphon going first. It always siphons better if you get it down as low as you can, and then you bring that hose down as low as you can and get it running, okay? I don't use this very often, but every now and then, if I'm going to hold the pigs in there for just a little bit, then I'll run it into there. But also I got some lower areas I'll graze some cattle in sometimes, or like y'all saw, I was raising some sheep in here for just a little bit, letting them clean some of this up. You know, sometimes if you want to have some clean water running to them, you know, that's some nasty water running out of there. It's got all sorts of iron ore and stuff. I don't want to be raising them down in there and that be their only source of water. They may drink from it if they want to, if they need some mineral or something, but for the most part, like just keeping some nice clean water out. So anyway, just keeping that siphon, that is always beneficial. Sometimes you can, you know, there's all sorts of different things you can do with that. Very handy on the farm, very handy on the homestead. As always, guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know if you got any more suggestions for videos, if you want to learn anything, if you want to see anything. But if you don't hit that bell, it's not going to help. And if y'all ever want to help the channel out, guys, y'all keep an eye out for any videos that I put on about Amazon links. If you ever hit that Amazon link, that helps my channel out a lot. Thanks.